to use fasting to renew your body. After you stop eating, what amazing changes will happen to your body? Today, one video will help you understand the mysteries of fasting. When you stop eating, the first thing you feel is hunger. The intensity of this hunger depends on how accustomed your body is to using fat as fuel. Because of our diet has always been primarily carbohydrates like rice and noodles, so the body is long accustomed to relying on glucose for energy, not fat. Fat can provide energy when there's no food by the liver converting fatty acids into ketone bodies. So for survival, we evolved to have fat cells all over our body. But glucose can only be stored in the muscles and the liver, and in very limited amounts. It runs out about 24 hours after eating. That's why missing one meal makes you feel famished. If you train consistently your body to use fat as fuel, such as with a low-carb or ketogenic diet, or have experienced prolonged fasting in the past, then you won't experience severe hunger. This is due to a hormone called ghrelin. It stimulates your appetite. Research shows that for most people, ghrelin spikes dramatically only during the usual mealtimes, such as the hours around breakfast, lunch, and dinner. However, for those already accustomed to low-carb eating and fasting, they don't experience sharp peaks in ghrelin. And these peaks are brief. Within about 2 hours, it returns to normal levels. At that point, your appetite subsides. Let's return to the process. After 24 hours of not eating, glycogen stores are nearly depleted. Now, the body begins switching to burning fat as fuel. Triglycerides stored in fat are broken down into glycerol and free fatty acids. Free fatty acids can be used immediately for energy. Some glycerol is sent to the liver, where it is converted back into glucose. This process is called gluconeogenesis. It can temporarily provide the glucose the brain needs. During this period, you will start to feel cold, because there's no longer a need to digest food. The body lowers its temperature. Thyroid function also decreases. The thyroid is mainly responsible for regulating metabolism. As the days without eating increase, the body will convert protein into glucose through the same gluconeogenesis process as before. This is the start of muscle breakdown. On average, this phenomenon occurs around 72 hours of fasting. Because in the initial few days, the body increases growth hormone levels. Growth hormone prompts fat cells to release fatty acids, and this also helps preserve amino acids to maintain muscle mass during the first few days of not eating. Of course, some people might start breaking down muscles in a shorter time, but on average, it takes about 3 days. At this point, the body also triggers a series of unique metabolic events. When you've fasted for 72 hours, our bodies, it activates a cellular process called autophagy. Autophagy is like a waste recycling function within cells. It clears out damaged and dysfunctional cells in the body and converts this waste into materials that can be used for growth and repair. This process can reduce inflammation in the body and combat various diseases. The immune system also improves. The body produces brand new white blood cells. These cells are very powerful in fighting disease. Unfortunately, when you continue for days without eating, these positive effects on the immune system break down. Because fasting for several consecutive weeks leads to malnutrition, and the body cannot get the vitamins and minerals needed to sustain the immune system. This is why studies show that starvation increases the risk of infection over time. Your body will continue to break down the last reserves of muscle and fat, and even bones. Eventually, it will be forced to slow down or shut down your organs. To conserve energy. For example, you might experience hair loss, brittle nails, frequent infections, and wounds that heal poorly. Your brain also goes on a roller coaster during this process. When you fast for a few days, neurogenesis in the brain increases. Neurogenesis refers to the formation of new neurons, of nerve cells. Higher neurogenesis can improve cognitive function. enhance learning and memory, and has potential in combating neurodegenerative diseases. A while ago, Chris Hemsworth, who plays Thor, discovered his genes carried a risk for Alzheimer's disease. He tried a 96-hour fast to promote neurogenesis. At this point, your brain begins producing more proteins. One important protein is BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. This protein aids in the creation of new brain cells. Exaggerating a bit, this is like a second evolution for the brain. Unfortunately, as mentioned earlier, the longer you fast, these positive effects begin to turn negative. If you don't eat for a sufficiently long time, your brain will find it increasingly difficult to function normally because the process of converting protein and fat into glucose via gluconeogenesis can't last forever. Your brain may even start metabolizing parts of its own structure, shrinking in size, in a desperate attempt to stay alive. Of course, the body does this to the heart and other organs as well. If you still don't eat, you will likely die from organ failure. The exact time it takes is unclear, because such research is unethical. Based on some leaked anecdotal reports, you probably cannot survive beyond 2 months without food. The exact duration depends on how much fat reserves are in the body. Therefore, overall, short-term fasting, such as around 16 to 72 hours, can be very beneficial for fat loss and the brain. However, this type of intermittent fasting may not be suitable for everyone. It's recommended to do it under the guidance of a doctor. Your life is what matters most.